What's up everyone, it's Ruby here, bringing you guys another video. Today, we are talking about Shazam! Fury of the Gods, because I just watched it in theaters the other day, and I want to give my review and opinions on the movie itself. First of all, to give you a backstory, I am a huge DC fan. If you didn't know that already, now you do. I have all of the episodes from the animated series, from Superman, Batman, Justice League, and Justice League Unlimited, all memorized. I can tell you exactly what each episode is, and in some cases I can literally tell you the entire synopsis, and even point out episodes based on their intro. A little bit of more backstory is I grew up with DC. I literally grew up watching the animated series, reading the comics. My comic knowledge is not as vast. I know what I've read in the past, and there are some favorites of mine, but there are some things that are missing. I know like the major events and everything, so there's a lot of stuff that I do know, and there's a lot of stuff that I don't. In terms of the DC movies, I've seen most of them, not all of them, but I generally know the ideas of all of them. So, with that being said, that's kind of my general upbringing. I do know Marvel as well, although Marvel has never been as big as DC for me. My main likings of Marvel was more like Spider-Man and X-Men. But outside of that, I didn't really gravitate towards Marvel. Wasn't really a fan of Marvel comics growing up. Even the MCU movies, not necessarily the biggest fan of them. I definitely think that the Phase 1, really great. Phase 2, pretty good. Phase 3, kind of starting to lose me. Phase 4, I don't really care. Until they bring in the characters that I really care about, not for me. And that's okay, because it's not for everybody. And I can't believe every time I have to say this, people freak out. It's like, for me, there are things that DC does really well that Marvel still lacks to this day. That's just my opinion. But, let's talk about Shazam. I am a person who really likes movies that don't take themselves too seriously. I really like movies that are a fun time to watch. They don't have to be great. They don't have to be Oscar worthy. They don't even have to be that good. And I also like them. Why? Because sometimes you need a fun movie to just have fun with. I think that everyone is so obsessed with having the perfect movie, with having the best movie of all time, that no one remembers to have the movies that are just fun to watch. I'm not gonna watch Moonlight 5,000 times. I'm not going to watch Endgame 5,000 times. There are movies that I will watch 5,000 times, but those are not any of them. In fact, the more likely I am to watch a movie another time is usually ones that are not praised so high. For example, I think one of my favorites to watch over and over and over again, despite it not being a popular movie, is Meet the Robinsons. I always enjoy watching it, and it's not highly rated. It's not even highly well known. It's kind of one of the lesser popular Disney movies. I'm a person who really enjoys like the Hannah Montana movie, or like the Wizards of Waverly Place movie. And the reason for it is because I just like feeling good about the characters that I've grown up with and watching them be in things that are different. I don't mind when people branch out. I didn't absolutely hate the lecture movie, although it wasn't great at the time. It was kind of like the only thing to watch. which, I mean, I enjoyed Elektra too much, but it's not something that I would watch regularly. But the Daredevil movie I felt was a little bit better than people were saying it was, but that's my kind of idea of what a fun movie is. A fun movie doesn't have to be something that is glamorous or something that is Oscar winning or something that is like box office heavy. In fact, I think the box office is the worst way to rate a movie. There are so many factors in which a movie can be good and perform badly in the box office, and so many factors where a bad movie can perform well in the box office. Take Morbius, for example. How much money a movie makes does not determine how good it actually was. And I think that I honestly have that opinion. I think even relying on Rotten Tomatoes is a terrible way to assess whether or not you're going to like the movie and whether or not you should go see it. Because at the end of the day, everything is subjective. Everything is... There's no right answer. Some people are like, this has to be the worst movie of all time, and anyone who says otherwise is wrong. Some people say this has to be the best movie of all time, and anyone who says otherwise is wrong. But that's not me. I'm not that person. I like to give this heads up because I want to give you guys the perspective of me. I am just an average moviegoer. Well, not really. I only watch comic book movies now. I'm just kidding. I do watch other movies, but for the most part, for the recent years, I've kind of stuck to what I enjoy watching in the movie theater versus what everyone says I should watch. Because, to be honest, as someone with ADHD, I don't really enjoy the movies that people like. So, let's get into Shazam. Shazam is a good movie. Is it the best one of all time? No. But it doesn't have to be. That's my point. It does not have to be. Everyone who's obsessed with it being bad or good or best or worst, not important. That's not important. Shazam, you know exactly what you're getting into when you're going to go see Shazam 2. Okay? It is very much like the first one, except arguably more campy. And I enjoy that. I think it was a really fun movie. I think that the plotline is kind of absurd, but like it's Shazam, so of course it is. And I did appreciate the one insert of Captain Marvel, which they did name drop in the movie, only for it to be kind of like not used, obviously, because rights and everything. But they at least acknowledged it. I like that. I like the movie. I really did enjoy kind of like the direction that it went in. Yeah, I know that not everybody's going to love it, but I feel like this is a movie that you can bring your family to. You can watch with your family. You don't have to worry about there being like death scenes. Well, you don't have to worry about there being blood scenes or like gore or like cursing or like sex scenes. It's just a fun movie that everyone can watch, and I think that's great. It gives me kind of the Christopher Reeves feelings again, where comic book movies were just fun. Like you could argue that the Christopher Reeve movies are not great movies, but they're fun, and everyone enjoys them, and it captures the essence of Superman. At least the first two anyways, before it went downhill and... But it captures the nature of Superman. That's what makes Christopher Reeve so iconic. Even George Clooney, right? With Batman as George Clooney, there are some things that you can enjoy about George Clooney's Batman. Very few things, but things that you can enjoy. And I think that when you go into a movie like Shazam 2, you can't expect it to be the Dark Knight. That is something that the Snyderverse kind of trapped itself into that I think is the reason why it failed so badly. Okay, you can argue night and day about whether or not the Snyderverse was great or bad or whatever. At the end of the day, the Snyderverse failed because it didn't understand the characters it was working with. Actually, it did understand. It just used them in a wrong way. Man of Steel was dark and edgy, where the boy in blue is supposed to be someone who's kind of like full of hope and light and brightness and happiness and hope. It tried to be the Dark Knight. That's the problem with Man of Steel. Man of Steel is a great movie, but it's not a good Superman movie. It is not a good Superman movie because it does not understand the true nature of the character that is Superman. Shazam 2 completely understands the nature of Shazam's character. You can go into the comics and read them yourself. About, Captain Marvel or Shazam was never really a serious character. He has serious moments, sure. Yes, he does have serious moments. But overall, his comics are supposed to be more fun and loose and a little bit crazy and a little bit with, like, Booster Gold and stuff. It's not necessarily supposed to be something that is, like, I don't know, like something that is like Batman, right? If you go into a Shazam movie and you expected it to be like Batman, you're wrong. You're stupid. No, I'm just kidding. You're not stupid. It's just they're not the same character. And that's why I think that's why I hope the direction that James Gunn takes is that he's going to appreciate each aspect of the characters and bring them into the movies that they belong into. Right? Batman should be dark, edgy, great. Superman should be bright and full of hope and light and bright. Like just make it colorful. It's like, I think the reason why Wonder Woman was so good is because it finally broke the mold of the DCEU. It finally had bright colors. And but then it kind of in the Justice League and in Batman versus Superman, it failed to do that. It had this like weird grayscaling, and it looked dark and murky, and it wasn't Wonder Woman. It's like, that is why the Snyderverse failed. It's not based on whether or not the movies themselves were good, or based on whether or not they performed well at the box office. It's based on whether or not they fully adapted and understood the characters that they were working with. And I don't think Zack Snyder was that. I'm sorry, but I don't. Now some people are going to make fun of Shazam too for it being silly and weird and campy. But guess what? That's what Shazam is as a character. I appreciate Shazam because it's willing to do something that other comic book movies have forgotten. Just to have fun. It's like, why is everything so serious nowadays? Why can't we just have fun? And that's exactly what Shazam 2 is doing. For me, as a DC fan, Shazam 2 is a good movie, and I'm happy with it. Could there have been some better things about it? Sure. But there doesn't need to be. There doesn't need to be that. I think the same thing that I said about Black Adam is that they understand the characters that they're working with. Black Adam and Shazam 2 were different types of movies. And they were both good. It doesn't matter what they did at the box office. Screw that. I don't care. What matters is whether or not they actually understood the characters they were working with. And for me, I am a little bit hopeful about the direction the show is going in, or the DCAU is going in. I'm really excited for the Flash film, and we're gonna talk about it. Absolutely, we're gonna talk about it. Not necessarily in this video, but I think it's important to talk about, and I think it's finally time that I start saying things, because I think it's just gonna be really fun to talk about. To talk about everything that I've been wanting to talk about and just have it be part of the channel. So, for those of you who are interested in talking about all these DC movies and all these the hopes, wants, and dreams and everything, subscribe to this channel right now. And also, I think it's going to be part of the RMTV podcast that I've started. It's kind of a new podcast. I haven't really been doing that many episodes for it. But I think I'm going to squeeze some DC stuff into that. Because it is supposed to be kind of like a whatever I want to talk about kind of thing. And honestly, some of these will need podcast episodes. So we'll talk about it. But as for Shazam, not too much to talk about. But I would rate it a 7.5 out of 10. I think it's kind of just a 7 out of 10 movie. Because it's like, it did its job. It understood its assignment. It's good. It's fun. Yes, there's some things that could be improved upon. But honestly, those things are like minuscule things. It's like, I don't know necessarily what I would have changed about Shazam. I thought it did a really good job. I thought all of the actors did a really good job at performing. I really love seeing Mary. I hope she, comes back in the future. And I honestly think that Shazam's going to stay in the DCU going forward. It seems to be that direction, especially given that they're the end credit scene. But other than that, I'm really excited. And I can't wait to talk to you guys about that in the future. So thank you guys so much for watching. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace out, guys. It's been a blast. I'll catch you guys next time. Bye.